The countdown to the big state assembly elections is here. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus today is on the state of Chhattisgarh, and soon we'll be looking at the ABP-CVoter Opinion Poll survey and what it's projecting. This is, of course, a one state where the Congress is seen to have an advantage, but this is also a state where the BJP did exceedingly well in the Lok Sabha. What does this tell us about both the importance of regional leaders, especially when it comes to the opposition, and the continued popularity and impact of the Modi factor on the national stage? This is our special focus on this political broadcast this evening. Let's introduce our guests on the program today as we look at the ABP-CVoter survey and what it's projecting for the assembly elections of Chhattisgarh. Let's introduce our guests on the program today. Senior journalist Arati Jerath is with us. Always good to see you, Arati. Radhika Khera, spokesperson of the Congress Party, is with us. Welcome, Radhika. Also joining us is Yashwant Deshmukh, who of course leads the CVoter survey, and it's his survey that we'll be discussing in a moment from now. And also joining us is Sanjay, Shrivastav, spokesperson of the BJP. Namaskar and good to see you, Sanjay ji. Before I get started and get comments, let's actually look at the big picture. In short, and I'll ask Yashwant to take us through the details. In short, it's advantage Congress. Now, Yashwant, I'm going to hand it over to you to look at the big picture. But some of the things that leapt out to me from your survey, from the ABP-CVoter survey, is that the BJP has actually vastly improved its performance. It's nearly doubled, in fact, its performance, and yet it's fallen short, according to your survey, of being able to form the government. At least that's what your numbers are telling us at this point. Yashwant, I'm going to give it over to you to take us through the seat share and the vote share. Yashwant.
Absolutely, Barkha, and I think you have very much summed up this entire exercise. And what our tracker right now is finding is the Congress is in a clear advantageous position right now in Chhattisgarh. If the elections held together, then probably very easily they are going to cross the line at this point of time. BJP has gained a lot, Barkha, but that gain is not entirely a gain of anti-incumbency sentiment. Because when we talk about anti-incumbency sentiment, Barkha, then the leading party or the ruling party's vote share should be going down and the opposition should be going up. What we are looking at here is a very weird phenomena where BJP, as the opposition party, has gained a lot, almost like 8% vote, but the Congress vote has also gone up. So Congress is not losing votes, and that is entirely because, just like our other surveys in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, we are all now watching the same set of bipolarization. Chhattisgarh is always considered as a bipolar state, Barkha, but largely speaking, there is about 20% vote going to the others, not just in Chhattisgarh, but also in Rajasthan and also in Madhya Pradesh. And in this particular round, we are watching a complete bipolarization where the smaller parties and the others, they are getting marginalized, and these votes are kind of shifting among the two major parties, that is the Congress and the BJP. So the Congress is not losing the votes, and that is probably what is giving you a situation where even after gaining to a significant number of votes, the BJP is unable to actually create an anti-incumbent phenomena of sorts. And with the popularity of the chief minister, I think Congress has, at this point of time, a winner in the race.
Now, before I get political reactions, Yashwant, basically what you're saying is that the BJP is actually looks set to significantly improve its performance, but there's no great anger against Bhupesh Baghel. He remains, and your numbers show that, the most popular choice or the most popular candidate for chief minister. So it's actually the non-BJP, non-Congress parties that have really taken a hit compared to last time. The others.
Exactly. And these parties were, some of them were always there. Like, for example, Bahujan Samaj Party was a key factor in all these three states. Outside Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, BSP was a keen player, but they have shrunk. Even in Uttar Pradesh, we have seen BSP giving way for the bipolarization of the Uttar Pradesh between SP and the BJP. So BSP is kind of going out in big time from these states, and also on the smaller party. For example, the party floated by Ajit Jogi and his son Amit Jogi heading it. 5 years back, it was very funny to observe while his party was polling almost like 7% votes. It was also thought or said by many players that it was kind of being propelled or propagated by the BJP strategists to eat into the anti-incumbency vote so that BJP can gain out of it. Congress doesn't gain out of it. But that was too clever a half kind of a strategy if it was, because now we are looking at those votes going back to the BJP. And that kind of gives the credence to my understanding and my take that those votes belong to the BJP, and by diverting them to Amit Yogi's party, actually it didn't it hurt the BJP. On the contrary, it didn't serve the BJP, and that was the
Right.
reason, Barkha, that there was an out of proportion victory for the Congress last time. If you look into the Madhya Pradesh, BJP lost Madhya Pradesh 5 years back, but the gap was actually too close. And in fact, from the vote share perspective, BJP polled than the Congress in Madhya Pradesh even after losing the state. But same
Right.
was not true in case of Chhattisgarh. So the Chhattisgarh's weird margin had a lot to do with what the others polled in. And now those others votes are going back to the BJP, and a significant number of them are also going to the Congress. So that's hence the bipolarization of the state further.
Okay, let's before we look at other findings of your survey, let me get initial reactions. Radhika, obviously good news for the Congress. These numbers paint a picture as expected by many political observers who've been looking at the state of Chhattisgarh. But once again, this state actually throws up maybe a lesson from Karnataka that in the Congress, when state level leaders are given autonomy, when they are encouraged, they do well. But state level politics doesn't necessarily lead to a change in national politics, because Chhattisgarh is the same state where the BJP took 9 out of 11 seats in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Radhika, your thoughts as you look at the numbers that Yashwant has put on our screen from the ABP-CVoter survey. Radhika Khera of the Congress. Radhika, can we unmute Radhika, please? Radhika, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Can you
Yeah,
hear
go
me?
ahead. Yeah,
Yeah. With due
yeah.
respect to Yashwantji, I have the 2018 C voter survey results here with me. The exit poll predicted that BJP would get 39 seats and the Congress would get 45. And the November opinion poll in 2018 was BJP 43 and Congress 41. And all surveys failed when it came to the Chhattisgarh results back then. And we got a thumping majority. And BJP has not been able to cross the 50 mark over there, and we have 68 seats. Now, coming to what happened in the Lok Sabha, that was just a couple of months after these elections were held. And the people of Chhattisgarh did not get a chance to actually witness how the Congress can change the state. For 15 years, they had been living with and facing everything that the Bharatiya Janata Party was serving to them. But it's only in the last 5 years that the people of Chhattisgarh actually got to see what the Congress government had for them, whether it was the Kisan. The farmers were actually the game changer. It was at that time that the farmers stopped selling their produce, and everyone knew that everything's going to change over there. The education system has completely changed. The private schools, yes, they are good, but the government schools are way better than the private schools here, and people are actually shifting their children from the private school to the government school. And when you come to something which is very important is employment. Chhattisgarh has, सबसे कम बेरोजगारी that is in Chhattisgarh in the
Hmm.
country. So that
Hmm.
is a factor which is going to actually play even in the Lok Sabha elections this time. And I'm sorry, I absolutely don't agree with the survey over here. We have 68 seats right now, and the Janta Congress is completely finished now. Ajit Jogi's party, the 5 seats that they had, which I guarantee you, Barkha, we should have. Please do
Which
invite
which
me when the results come out
which part of the
next.
survey? Before I wanted to go to Sanjay ji, but I'll allow Yashwant a brief interjection. But Radhika, which part of the survey do you disagree with? The survey is projecting a
About the
win.
total seats. The
Okay,
survey projecting this number of seats with the Bharatiya Janata Party. They are not even going to cross the 10 mark this time, Barkha.
चले
Because the
देखते.
people of Chhattisgarh have seen whether it is the employment issue, whether it is education, whether it is farmers, whether it's the
Okay,
women, the kind of
let
things that the Congress government is doing.
Let me get Yashwant to briefly respond. Yashwant, before I go to Sanjay
Yeah,
ji. Yashwant,
very
yes.
quickly, because I don't want to waste time on debating on how the surveys went, because we did a 6 months daily tracker, Barkha, 5 years back, and not over one point of time we were the first one till the last one to say that Congress is winning all these three states. And yes, the contest was much closer in Madhya Pradesh and much bigger in Chhattisgarh than what we thought, for the reasons which I explained, that the smaller parties polled much bigger votes and the gap between the Congress and the BJP was larger than what I appreciated, what we figured out in the tracking polls. That is the reason which we appreciated, which I duly have explained. But 6 months on the top of our noise that we said Congress is winning all three states. So the thing is that on a tracker, if you will pick up any one particular date and try to pick up and say that these are the final results and these were not the actual results, that would be unfair for any trackers. Trackers tell you the momentum on that day. For example, this day tracker is telling you Congress is in pole position, and if the elections are held today, the Congress is going to form the government. That's the today's tracker. Just like a doctor looking at your blood pressure cannot tell you what your blood pressure is going to be on 3 months down the lane. It's our job to tell you what it is as on
Okay,
today. So the
okay,
numbers have to be
okay.
read in that perspective.
ओके संजय जी, संजय श्रीवास्तव ऑफ द बीजेपी, आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी कि कांग्रेस इज अ डिवाइडेड हाउस. राधिका वोंट अग्री. भूपेश बाघेल इज क्लियरली इन कमांड ऑफ हिज गवर्नमेंट, बट दे हैड अ वर्चुअल रिबेलियन बाय मिस्टर देओ. मतलब कांग्रेस में फूट होने के बावजूद बीजेपी उसका शायद पूरा फायदा उठा नहीं पाई. ऐसा क्यों? जब आप ये नंबर्स देखते हैं, आप ये आंकड़े देखते हैं, तो आप क्या कहेंगे?
देखिए बरखा जी, सबसे पहले तो जो सी वोटर के सर्वे आए हैं जो यशवंत जी ने दिया है, मैं उसका पूरा सम्मान करता हूँ और कहीं इस पर मुझे शंका कुशंका वाली कोई बातचीत नहीं है. लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि सबसे पहले जो नंबर ऑफ सीट्स या फिर हम सर्वे के परसेंटेज देखें, तो जो लास्ट इलेक्शन था वो 33% हमारे यदि वोट शेयर थे और कांग्रेस के 43, तो हमने 8% यदि गेन किया है, 41% पे हम आए हैं. कांग्रेस ने केवल 3% गेन किया है. इससे स्पष्ट है कि इन 4.5 वर्षों में जनता के विश्वास पर हम खरे उतर रहे हैं धीरे धीरे. ये ठीक है कि सर्वे के अंदर में कुछ सीट्स कम दिखाई दे रही है सरकार बनाने की दिशा में, लेकिन कांग्रेस केवल 3% गेन करी है. अब मैं बात करूं सीट्स की, तो सीट्स तो फिर जब चुनाव आएंगे तो उसमें किस तरीके से बदलते हैं. लेकिन पिछले 1 साल की यदि हम बातचीत करें बरखा जी, तो आपने देखा होगा कि लगभग ये स्थिति थी कि लगभग हर व्यक्ति या फिर हम मीडिया हाउस में जाए तो मीडिया भी यही कहता था कि बीजेपी कहीं दिखाई नहीं दे रही है सरकार के सामने. लेकिन आज हम किस स्थिति में खड़े हैं, ये सर्वे ही हमको राहत प्रदान कर रहा है. और मुझे लगता है कि महीने 2 महीने का और समय है. आप ये देखेंगे कि इस प्रदेश के अंदर में हम सरकार बनाने जा रहे हैं. अभी राधिका जी को जब मैं सुन रहा था, तमाम प्रकार की बातें उन्होंने बेरोजगारी दर की बात करी थी. इतना समय नहीं है कि उसपे भी मैं डिबेट कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन मैं बहुत स्पष्ट कह रहा हूँ आपको, जब ऐसा लगा कि 3 बार हमारी सरकार बनी, 2003, 8 और 13 में, और 18 में हम चुनाव हारे. उसके बाद कांग्रेस को जब ये लगा कि शायद वो चौथी बार भी सरकार बनाने की दिशा में नहीं है, तो इनका जो मैनिफेस्टो था, विशेषकर जिस मैनिफेस्टो की बात कर, इस मैनिफेस्टो में उन्होंने सब कुछ कर दिया. ये कहा गया कि देखेंगे जब सरकार बनेगी तब क्या स्थिति बनेगी. यशवंत जी इस बात को मेरे ध्यान से सुनेंगे. मैं हमेशा इस बात को डिबेट में कहता हूँ कि हम बेरोजगारों को बेरोजगारी भत्ता दे देंगे, या फिर हम महिलाओं के साथ में शराबबंदी की बात करेंगे, फिर ऋण माफ कर देंगे, किसानों की बात, स्वसहायता समूह की बहनों का ऋण माफ करेंगे. लेकिन आज की स्थिति में ये है कि ऑर्डर की स्थिति बद से बदतर स्थिति है. तो 2018 का इलेक्शन जो है, जो 68 सीटें, जो इनको खुद विश्वास में नहीं था, और सर्वे में भी यही है. इसका कारण क्या है मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको. जो 45-48 सीटों में कांग्रेस दिखाई दे रही होगी, जो 68 सीट आ गई, इसका कारण ही ये था कि नवंबर में चुनाव था, धान खरीदी थी, हम 2500 दे देंगे, शराब बंद कर देंगे. लोगों ने विश्वास किया. और मैं तो ये भी कहता हूँ, राजनीतिक व्यक्ति होने के बाद भी इस बात को कहता हूँ कि हिंदुस्तान की मानसिकता, हिंदुस्तान का जो व्यक्ति है, जो वोटर से बड़ा सरल होता है. वो ये कहता है कि 3 बार हमने एक मौका दिया, तो एक बार हम किसी और को मौका दे दें. और यही स्थिति कांग्रेस के साथ रही. उसका बड़ा फायदा कांग्रेस को मिला है. लेकिन आज स्थिति पूरी डिफरेंट है, विपरीत है. और मुझे लगता है, मैंने फिर से कहा, इस सर्वे पर मुझे कहीं उंगली नहीं उठाना है, लेकिन आज मैं दावे के साथ में कह सकता हूं कि हम सरकार बनाने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. महीने 2 महीने के अंदर में, छोटा स्टेट है हमारा, छोटा राज्य है, इन महीने 2 महीने के अंदर में परिवर्तन होगा, सरकार बीजेपी की बनेगी.
चले 2 महीने की ही बात है जैसे आपने कहा, लेकिन मैं आरती को लाना चाहती हूँ अब इस कॉन्वर्सेशन में। आरती, एक टाइम था when Raman Singh was one of the most popular leaders in much the same way that Bhupesh Baghel is today. So it's very interesting to see state electoral dynamics being so different from national dynamics. How do you look at Chhattisgarh today and these numbers?
Um, so, obviously, Yashwant would look at them in much more detail because, he's a psephologist, he does a daily tracker. I can only look at the big picture. And I think increasingly it's becoming clear that you need strong regional leaders who are identified by people as representing a party. I think this is becoming more and more clear. You remember there was a time when the BJP had this whole array of regional leaders, of which Narendra Modi was one himself. And he dominated Gujarat. There was Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh, Vasundhara Raje in Rajasthan. You know, today, those leaders, the ones that they had then, Narendra Modi has, of course, gone on to become Prime Minister, but they have not developed any state leaders after that whole string of leaders that were developed and nurtured by the Vajpayee Advani BJP. And Raman Singh, who was very popular, he was known as the Chawal Wala Baba for many terms.
With the exception of Yogi Adityanath, I wanted to say, but go ahead. Yeah.
So, yes, no, absolutely. And I think you have hit the nail on the head, Barkha. The one reason why the BJP remains so dominant in UP is that they have a very strong, popular local leader. And this is something that the Congress suffered from. They just whittled down all their local leaders, destroyed them, and you saw the Congress slowly fade away from state to state to state to state. If Karnataka has taught the BJP, taught the Congress anything, it's the importance of promoting regional leaders. And you can see how they've changed their strategy now in these three states. They have, given full space, full command to Ashok Gehlot. They've moved Sachin Pilot to the CWC. They have Kamal Nath has been active anyway for the last 1 year. And, between him and Digvijay, they have been given full command of the state. And similarly, in Chhattisgarh, they moved quickly to repair the rift between, Singh Deo and Bhupesh Baghel, making Singh Deo the deputy chief minister, but giving command to Bhupesh Baghel. And I think that, these are factors which will work in the Congress's favor, because on the other side, the BJP seems to be at 6s and 7s about its state leadership. And I think the importance of leaders, whether it's a national poll or it's an assembly poll, I think the importance of having a clearly identifiable face to vote
is very important.
Becoming very apparent now.
Now, I want to bring in Yashwant because from Arti's point, a very interesting thought strikes me. एक जमाना था जब कांग्रेस के रीजनल लीडर्स को जगह नहीं दी जाती थी. I won't say कि बीजेपी अपने रीजनल लीडर्स को जगह नहीं दे रही, Yashwant, but Arti points out that old generation of leaders is still the old generation. Vasundhara, Shivraj, Raman Singh, with the exception, again, as I say, of Yogi Adityanath. And their attempts to create a new generation of faces in all of these three states that I've just named have not worked. And is that why, though maybe the Modi factor has led, what do you think has firstly led to the BJP improving its performance in the way that your poll says it will? Radhika disagrees. And B, do you think the BJP's weakness is the absence of strong, new, still popular regional leaders?
Well, first of all, the rise in the BJP vote share is largely reintegration of what its already base was. It got disintegrated into other parties, but it is just the reorganization of the anti-Congress votes in the states, because Congress votes are not going down. This is why I am clearly saying that at this point of time, this is a pro-incumbent verdict. I would have asked, probably argued that as an anti-incumbency sentiment if the Congress vote share would have also gone down in the same proportion that the BJP vote share is increasing. Like, for example, in Rajasthan, it is an anti-incumbency sentiment, our survey has pointed out, because the Congress vote share is going down and BJP is going up in the same proportion. Now, Arati is bang on target on what the problem of the Congress was, is becoming the problem of the BJP now, because they are trying to probably groom the next line, but that entire effort is not giving that much of the fruit at this point of time. For example, in Chhattisgarh, for all practical purposes, Dr. Raman Singh is kind of in a retirement mode. He has been completely out of action or has been asked to put out of action, whichever way you one may argue, for the last 5 years. Even after that, in our poll, he is hovering around 25%. But
Let's
Bhupesh
bring
Baghel
up
is
let's bring up. Can I just hold you? I want to bring up the chief ministerial candidate popularity slide as you talk about this. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So even, I mean, I understandably that Mr. Baghel is a very popular politician. He has ranked as number one in Chhattisgarh, and also he has been making in our previous surveys among the better of chief ministers in the country, ranked as better chief ministers. But even you see, look at the Raman Singh's number. These numbers are there when he is literally in retirement, when he
Yeah.
is neither the party is taking his name as a chief ministerial chair, nor Mr. Raman Singh, true to his what style is, unless the party tells him to do something, he is just sitting quiet. So what is happening here is that in the absence of that face, Barkha, that I mean, the way the anti-incumbency works, it needs a face. It needs a face to cash in on, and that is where I think in this current round BJP is finding a problem, because obviously in Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan remains de facto face of the BJP. There is no other face to counter. In Chhattisgarh, they have not been able to prop up a new face, nor have been able to prop up Dr. Raman Singh in the full force. In Rajasthan, their problem remains the same. Even after they tried many names to project in Rajasthan, from Gajan Singh Shekhawat to Rajendra Rathore and many others, still,
Right.
Vasundhara Raje remains the most popular face from the BJP camp. So that is their problem. I guess they have to figure a solution to that. But on the Congress front, what Arati said, I would just like to add, yes, they won. You remember, Barkha, we discussed this after Himachal election. The biggest contribution of the central leadership in Himachal victory was actually not visiting there, letting
Yeah.
it go, because not meddling in the state affairs actually benefited the default victory. BJP tried to nationalize that election. PM went, Home Minister went, and they tried to make it a national election. They failed. Same thing
And
happened in Karnataka. We have
and
seen the
and
Karnataka results.
and your numbers on the gap between the Prime Minister and Mr. Gandhi's popularity. Sorry, can we just flip back to that slide for a moment? This, Yashwant, is an important slide because, again, I say that people vote very differently for their own local elections, very differently for a Lok Sabha election. And choice for Prime, despite Mr. Baghel's popularity, despite him being top of the charts as a CM candidate, that doesn't necessarily transfer, Yashwant, into how they think about the Lok Sabha.
Absolutely. And this is where the brilliant strategy of Mr. Baghel and Mr. Kamal Nath, and including Mr. Siddharamaiah, regional leaders, that comes in. 5 years has gone by. Barkha, you will find it really difficult to figure out one statement from Mr. Baghel which would be hypercritical of Prime Minister Modi. Because these leaders at the regional level have understood that there is a gray area among the electorate. There are a number of people who would like to vote for me in the assembly and who would like to vote for Mr. Modi in the Lok Sabha. So that experimentation started with the 5 years back in Rajasthan. You remember the Nara, Modi tusse bair nahi, Rani teri khair nahi. I think these smart politicians of the Congress could understand it very well, that अगर जीतना है, अपने काम पे फोकस रखो, ये मोहल्ले का हमारा सिंहासन है, win on the local issues, talk about the state, but don't touch the national thing, because that is not my fight. That's what these leaders have understood.
Let me bring in the two political leaders here before I go to Arati. Radhika, go ahead. You were wanting to come in for a while. Sorry, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add is, when we're talking about, again, I'll say the numbers that Yashwantji has here, I absolutely disagree with him. We have to see what has happened in the last 5 years as well. There were 3 by-elections: Kheragarh, Bhanu Pratappur and Dantewada. Congress won all 3. 10 नगर निगम है, 10 के 10 में मेयर कांग्रेस के हैं. पंचायत चुनाव हो या पालिका के चुनाव हो, सब कांग्रेस जीती है. You have to remember that. And that has happened after the Lok Sabha elections. So we won the assembly. There was hardly any time for the Lok Sabha elections. Yes, I do agree that there are different issues that people vote for the Lok Sabha and different issues at the time of Vidhan Sabha. But how the government works in the state also does impact, because uh, end of the day काम तो वहां पे लोगों के जो होने हैं, चाहे MP फंड से होने हैं, विधानसभा, people now want their local leaders. I agree that people still have there will be certain issues that maybe Modi ji is still popular. I do not believe that he is still that popular, because after what we have seen in Manipur, after what we are seeing in Haryana, that is going to make a major change in the way people see how, Haryana has never seen these kind of dange ever since independence.
Right.
So that is going to get people to think. And the way Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, I was seeing just before this debate started, there were headlines all over across news channels ki Modi ji's plane has landed in South Africa. Very sad. The country was waiting that Modi ji's plane will land in Manipur. It did not. It has still not landed in Manipur. These are going to be very important issues, Barkha, that people are also going to think of when they are even voting for Vidhan Sabha.
As an opposition leader, you're of course completely within your rights to flag these issues, to bring up these issues, to raise them in the public domain. But if anything I've learned from politics कि बिल्कुल ही अलग डायनामिक्स होते हैं प्रदेश चुनाव और नेशनल चुनाव कई बार समझ भी नहीं आते. Honestly, Radhika, like sometimes, I mean, Yashwant has spent a lifetime studying this, but even as just observing them, sometimes you can't understand the very complex mind of the Indian voter. मैं संजय जी से पूछना चाहती हूँ. संजय जी, यशवंत ने एक बात रखी कि रमन सिंह जी वर्चुअली एक तरह से रिटायर कर दिए गए हैं, फिर भी उसके बावजूद 24% लोगों ने उनको, मतलब 24% सेड कि रमन सिंह उनके पहले चॉइस हैं एज सीएम कैंडिडेट. तो बीजेपी को क्या इस बात से नुकसान पड़ रहा है? आप मानेंगे कि आपके पास कोई लीडर नहीं है प्रोजेक्ट करने के लिए?
देखिए बरखा जी, मैंने राधिका जी को भी सुना, यशवंत जी को भी सुना. देखिए बहुत स्पष्ट मैं आपको बता दूं, ये हमारे लिए कितनी सुखद अनुभव है, कितनी अच्छी बात है कि आज भी इस प्रदेश की जनता लगभग 24%, और एक और सर्वे हुआ था उसमें तो लगभग 43% भूपेश बघेल जी को बता रहे थे और लगभग 33 या 34% रमन सिंह जी का सर्वे में आया था कि उनको सीएम बतौर सीएम देखना चाहते हैं. लेकिन आज हमारे लिए प्राथमिकता ये नहीं है कि मुख्यमंत्री कौन होगा. देखिए ऐसा है, कांग्रेस हमेशा हम पर अटैक करती रही, हमेशा भी कहती रही है कि इनके पास में लीडर नहीं है छत्तीसगढ़ में. आपको याद कराऊंगा 2003 में, ये अलग बात है कि 2000 में हमने ही छत्तीसगढ़ का निर्माण किया था. इन्होंने 58 साल सरकार में रहते हुए इन्होंने छत्तीसगढ़ का निर्माण नहीं किया था, जबकि छत्तीसगढ़ से विद्याचरण जी, श्यामाचरण जी, मोतीलाल वोरा जी, जोगी और तमाम प्रकार के अरविंद नेताम जो केंद्रीय मंत्री होते थे, इन्होंने कभी राज्य का निर्माण नहीं किया. अटल जी ने बनाया. खैर मैं उस विषय पे नहीं जाना चाहता, मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको. 2003 में जब जोगी जी मुख्यमंत्री थे, 2000 से 2003, तब भी लगभग यही स्थिति थी. हमारे 12 एमएलए को तोड़ा गया और लगभग प्रदेश में यही रूमर था, यही फैलाया गया कि जोगी जी के सामने बीजेपी लगभग समाप्त हो गई है. और हमने साथ में मिलकर चुनाव लड़ा. कोई लीडरशिप हमने सामने नहीं रखी कि कौन सीएम बनेगा. हमने मिलकर चुनाव लड़ा और हम सरकार में आए, और फिर प्रदेश अध्यक्ष हमारे थे डॉक्टर रमन सिंह जी, उनको मुख्यमंत्री बनाए, और फिर लगातार 3 बार प्रदेश की जनता ने हमको आशीर्वाद दिया और हमारी सरकार रही. ये हमारे लिए सुखद बात है कि आज भी 24, 25, 30% लोग डॉक्टर रमन सिंह को चाहते हैं. लेकिन आज हमारे लिए प्राथमिकता नहीं है, ये तो हमारा केंद्रीय नेतृत्व तय करेगा. अभी विषय ये है कि हम सामूहिकता के साथ में चुनाव लड़ने जा रहे हैं, और उसके बाद कौन लीडर होगा, यदि हमारा बहुमत आता है तो निश्चित रूप से ये तय हो जाएगा. 5 मिनट के अंदर में तय होगा कि कौन हमारा सीएम होगा. देखिए प्राथमिकता कांग्रेस के लिए रहती है. कांग्रेस है नेता आधारित पार्टी, ये है बिल्कुल लीडर बेस्ड पार्टी है. हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बेस्ड पार्टी है. तो इनके यहाँ झगड़ा रहता है. आपने देखा 4-4.5 साल क्या हुआ टीएस सिंहदेव और इनके बीच में क्या हुआ. 2.5 साल का कमिटमेंट इनका जो सेंट्रल लीडरशिप तय करता है वो भी खत्म हो जाती है. पूरी सरकार 2.5 साल के बाद भूपेश बघेल जी के साथ कोई मंत्री नहीं, कोई चेयरमैन ऐसा नहीं था जो छत्तीसगढ़ में था. एक व्यक्ति नहीं था. ये अभी बात कर रहे थे कि साउथ अफ्रीका में थे मोदी जी, मणिपुर की बात करना था. पूरी सरकार कुर्सी बचाने के लिए भूपेश बघेल जी गांधी दरबार में बैठे हुए थे. यहाँ कोई एक नेता नहीं था. वो कमिटमेंट खत्म हो गया इनका सेंट्रल का दबाव पे. और अभी चूंकि भूपेश बघेल जी के भरोसे चुनाव नहीं जीत सकते, इन्होंने टीएस सिंहदेव जी को डिप्टी सीएम बनाया. ये स्थिति कांग्रेस की है. इसलिए हमारे सामने ये नहीं कि कौन लीडर है, कौन सीएम बनेगा. चिंता इनको है कि ये किस तरीके से करेंगे. आपसी जो फूट है ये अभी इनके लगभग 40 जो एमएलएज हैं, इनकी एडवर्स रिपोर्ट आ रही है बरखा जी, एडवर्स रिपोर्ट, और यही इनको पीछे लेकर जाएगा. ये तो स्वयं भी समझ नहीं पा रहे 68 सीटें कैसे.
ये आपने एक बात
ऐसा हो जाता है.
आपने एक बात बहुत जरूरी कही जो मैं यशवंत को
जी, जी,
ब्रीफली
जी।
लाना चाहती हूँ। यशवंत, आपके सर्वे में ये जरूर निकला है that भूपेश बघेल is more popular than his government, और ये हमें बार बार, if we bring up the slide, that's of course the Prime Minister touching down in South Africa. Radhika made a reference to that, but I just want to bring up the satisfaction. This is with Prime Minister Modi's work, this is with the centre's work. If we could also go to the chief ministers, if we can move to that. Here's the satisfaction with the state government's work. It's a 43% satisfied, somewhat satisfied is under 40%, and then there's the not satisfied. But with the chief minister himself, if we can go to that slide, Yashwant, it's quite interesting that you find a difference in the personal popularity of the chief minister compared to his government.
Yeah, absolutely, Barkha. The CM is way ahead of his party in terms of popularity. I mean, and arguably this election, is actually going to be the popularity, the contest of CM's popularity vis-a-vis versus the organizational strength of the BJP. Madhya Bharat, as we have discussed earlier as well, was the original playground of the Bharatiya Janasangh much before Bharatiya Janata Party was formed. So Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh both places, it is the organizational strength of the BJP. I concede to that point with the BJP spokesperson. However, it is the chief minister's popularity which is pulling that entire thing right now for them. And prime minister is very popular, but we have seen in so many elections now that people go when prime minister comes to campaign in a Vidhan Sabha election, people do go and listen to him, and what they say, ये election नीचे का है, यहाँ पे हम सुनने आए हैं, लेकिन हम यहाँ पे वोट नहीं देंगे. जब मोदी जी का election आएगा, तब हम उनको वोट देंगे. So what is happening here is that the central leadership of the BJP's is very effective, but not in that way for the local election. It is effective for the central election. And Mr. Baghel has to be very, very careful about two things. Number one, the extreme unpopularity of his sitting MLAs. He is actually, जिसे कहते हैं ना कि पूरे MLAs के नाराजगी को अपने कंधे पे अकेले ढो रहे हैं सीएम छत्तीसगढ़ के, वैसे ही जैसे अपने नकारा MPs की नाराजगी को प्रधानमंत्री अपने कंधे पे ढोते हैं. तो ये लोकतंत्र का हमारे यहाँ का एक वो अनूठा वो है कि जो पॉपुलर नेता होता है वो अपने अनपॉपुलर MLAs या MPs के करामातों को ढोता है. कितना ढो पाएंगे? Congress can the Congress chop off the tickets of the unperforming MLAs? That remains to be seen, because BJP does that very effectively. We have seen in so many elections, they actually counter the anti-incumbency sentiment by chopping off big number of MLAs. Can the Congress do it? That's the question. We'll have to watch for that.
I'm going to give the last word to Arati. Something we haven't spoken about is Mallikarjun Kharge's handling of dissent and factionalism in the party. The CWC composition is an interesting example, bringing Sachin Pilot in, bringing Shashi Tharoor in, not that he's been a rebel, but he's been sidelined for a while, bringing in leaders of the original G23, so-called Manish Tiwari, right? Arati and TS Deo accommodated, but accommodating but firm. This is the red line, you can't cross it. It's an interesting thing. I think a lot of people may not have thought Mr. Kharge would be able to do it. Has he shown a lot of his critics to have been wrong, to have underestimated him?
Well, I think the best thing that happened to the Congress was the election of Mallikarjun Kharge as the president. I mean, honestly, the man has done he's done the Congress a huge favor by taking on this job. And he's brought a certain sense of stability and a certain sense of organization to the Congress, which was missing. Earlier, Rahul Gandhi was there, not there. We don't know where Rahul Gandhi was, who was taking the decisions. But now there is a man who sits in the office whenever he's in Delhi. He is approachable, accessible. He listens to people. And yes, and I think the other thing that has really given him a huge fillip is the victory in Karnataka. Remember, that's the state he comes from. And he was really, largely responsible for the truce between Siddaramaiah and Shiv Kumar. And, I think he is definitely, that has given him a huge fillip. I mean, the reason Sachin Pilot, Singh Deo and all have fallen in line is precisely because the Karnataka won, the Congress won Karnataka, and Kharge helped in that victory. And so today, these people who were kind of rebellious or on the margins or whatever, they have decided to listen to what Kharge has to say. And they
Yeah.
have decided to stay in the Congress fold because, frankly, there's no space for them in the BJP. So they might as well stay in the Congress fold. I think, what Sachin has been told is that your time will come. Why are you in such a hurry? You're young, stick around. So, and I think he's understood that. So, I mean, I think Kharge is really been one of the best things that has happened to the Congress. If you notice, even Rahul Gandhi today is much less of an absentee, leader than he used to be. I think it's, I
Yeah.
mean, Kharge has probably given him a sense of stability as well and a sense of direction. So, yes, I think Kharge has made a difference. And, I want to go back to what Mrs. Shrivastav said. Please, in 2003, I remember very clearly, Advani and Vajpayee took the decision to promote three leaders in the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. But, Raman Singh was the leader. They were sent there months in advance of the polls. They were told to work on the ground, build up an organization, build up support, tour, and they did. And that year, all three of them swept the state, which is why the BJP took the unfortunate decision of preponing the Lok Sabha elections. But it was a calculated decision taken by the Vajpayee Advani, BJP. They knew that it was important to promote faces. And, I think they saw what had happened to the Congress because all regional satraps were marginalized under Indira Gandhi and under Rajiv Gandhi. And I'm afraid the BJP seems to be heading that way, except in UP, where,
I will
they
just
inadvertently stumbled upon a hugely popular leader
I,
who turned out to be very sharp politically.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's interesting how the BJP and the Congress actually mirror each other, both in good and bad ways, and that's the nature of politics. But very interesting findings from Yashwant Deshmukh's ABP-CVoter survey. Thank you, Yashwant, for that. Thank you, Sanjay ji, Radhika, and Arati. And of course, election season has only just begun, and there's going to be a lot more politics. The Mojo story is the place for politics. So thank you for watching. Take care, and see you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.